the competition in the dust.
Welcome everybody to #Exposure Conspiracy Talk, and I'm your host, Mad Science, and today we're going to be breaking down what happened to Prince, the Illuminati sacrifice. I got two clips. One clip is of him interviewing with Travis Smiley, where he mentions the chemtrails and the government and, you know, just saying a whole lot of things that you can't say when you in the industry because you under oath, and they got him killed. Also, the second clip is of a young lady, and she gave us a background of his record deal with Warner Brother and why they would want him dead, and how the Warner Brother empire is entwined with the elite and Illuminati. All right. After that, we're gonna chop it up and we're gonna talk about everything. The Nation Radio #Exposure. Enjoy the show.
I want to go back to Jack Johnson because he's still in the back of my head. I can't get him out of my head where this conversation is concerned. Who have you felt most often like in the ring fighting the record industry? Like Jack or the opponent?
Oh, like Jack.
Like Jack?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, because I knew I was right. Mm-hmm. You know, we talked about this in our very first interview and conversation together. It's obvious now that artists are supposed to own their master recordings. I mean, in the future, it'll be unconscionable to even think you can take somebody's creation and claim ownership of it. See, unfortunately, this discussion is going to start to barrel into a discussion about the human genome and the DNA and all the rest of it. When it gets there, then we're going to be in the deep water. Mm-hmm. See, so it's better to start the conversation now before we get into God talk, you know.
There are 4 songs that I want to ask you about, and I did what I have never done before, which is to actually print these lyrics out. Some of them, I'm since the record is so new, I'm learning some of them. I got some of them memorized.
Who gave you the lyrics, though? I've seen some really strange rewrites of my stuff.
Well,
I've seen one time they said the lyrics to When Doves Cry was, dig, if you will, the picture of me, Marvin Gaye, and the kids. Yeah. You know?
Well, you know what?
And then there was another one. This person will go unnamed.
Yes.
She didn't speak the English language too good.
Right.
She had a really cute daughter, so that's why we was acquaintances. Yeah. But she swore up and down, Little Red Corvette was pay the rent, collect.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
So you need to let me check that.
Yeah. You know, I'm a fast learner, so I'm not going to read none of these on the air. I'm just going to ask you about the songs and about the lyrical content. And for those who don't have the record, you can go to lotusflower.com and get it. And follow along at home. Even if you're 2 or 3 days late, you can play this back and follow along. In no particular order, since we mentioned Dreamer first, tell me about Dreamer.
Oh, well, when I saw the State of the Black Union, Dick Gregory really moved me and a lot of my friends. I show it to everybody that comes over the house, especially white folks, because they need to hear that, you know, so that they know more about all of us. Mm-hmm. Because what he said affects all of us. He said something that really hit home about this phenomena of chemtrails. And, you know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time. And say, oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And the next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing, and you didn't know why. Mm-hmm. Okay? And you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting. So he started riffing about the chemtrails. And he started to say things that hit home so hard. And I would recommend that everybody try to get what he said online or wherever and try to get a copy of it and just listen to it. Because I was so moved that I had to write the song.
And then when you leave, with all the hassle, can you have that love? Love. I'm so tired of you black folk walking around looking all evil like that's gonna change something. Looking all mean and talking all crazy. Let them tell you about your children. If I sit here today, and these are all white folks, and they're putting some sleeping pill in my water, and I sit up here and doze off and go to sleep, and everybody told in the world, niggas is lazy. They tired. No, that's because you too naive enough to know what they putting in my water. Okay? Your children ain't violent because they black. They ain't violent. Most people in the world live in a ghetto. They don't kill people. What are you putting in my malt liquor, white boy? What are you putting in? Huh? Hear me. And it's your fault too. Malt liquor is made by white companies, but only sold in black neighborhoods, and you ain't checked it to see what's in it. Huh? How much lead are you putting in my neighborhood? Lead affects my thinking capacity. Lead is only one thing on the planet more dangerous than lead, and that's manganese. Manganese will make you kill your mama. And let me tell y'all something. If you want to see the largest homicide rate in the world, it ain't in no black ghetto in America. It's a little town in Australia where them white folks' homicide rate is 200 times what their population is. And that town just happened to be located across the street from a manganese plant.
Sit back down, Dick. Don't lose that mic, yeah.
That town is located across the street from a manganese plant. How much manganese are you spraying in my neighborhood at night while I'm asleep? How in the world can a 9-year-old child find a heroin man, but the FBI can't find it, and you gonna tell me that's a black thing? Y'all crazy? What is this about? These are the things that need to change while this brother and sisters on their way to the White House. And when you see Hillary and y'all see Brother Barack, thank him for me. And you white folks need to be thankful. Because if y'all had a brother like me, y'all would really be in trouble. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory.
I was so moved that I had to write the song. The other thing is the first line of the song says I was born on the same plantation in the United States of the red, white, and blue. And we live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants, you know. When I found out there were 8 presidents before George Washington, I wanted to smack somebody. You know, I wanted to know why I was taught otherwise. Just tell me the whole story. I'll fill in the blanks, but don't, you know, don't tell me something that you think I'm supposed to know.
We're indentured servants, and we got a black president now?
Well, I don't vote. I have nothing to do with it. I got no dog in that race.
And for those who would cuss me out and slap me in person if I didn't ask you why?
Well, the reason why is because I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and we've never voted. And that's not to say that I don't think Barack Obama, President Obama, is a very smart individual, and he seems like he means well. Prophecy is what we all have to go by.
Leaving all the competition in the dust.
As many of you may be aware by now, 7-time Grammy winner and iconic performer Prince has died. Now, the details are a little sketchy, so I'm not going to go into specifics, but I will tell you that he was found dead on the floor of his Paisley Park recording studio. And here you can see, I'm scanning in pictures of the studio, which was quite magnificent, excuse me. So what happened, some of you might say? Now, there was, a dark side to Prince, and my question is, was the elite behind this? There are certain things I'm going to show you, mitigating factors that lead me to believe that they were indeed behind this. Prince started out wanting to play basketball, but because of his height, he was not considered a good candidate for the game, although he did play a few games at his Bryant High School. As he got into the industry in the earlier years, he began to adopt the all-seeing eye persona, which is so prevalent in the industry among the mind-controlled slaves. And as time went on, you'll notice that, he continued to appear publicly with this representation. And because he didn't speak much about his personal choices, he left it to people to conclude what might have been going on. Now, along with this came symbolism. Many of you remember this symbol, which he was very fond of, and he actually began to, he gave it a name to himself. He made it his name, and it was an unpronounceable symbol. He also did a lot of things, maybe some for shock value, but I also believe that he was manipulated behind the scenes for a lot of the more controversial stuff that he did early in his career. And in this picture, you can actually see that he had sunglasses made with the all-seeing eye symbol as it's placed accurately on his forehead to symbolize his allegiance to that. And then there were other things that were surrounding him that were also pretty questionable. He married Mayte Garcia, and the baby they had mysteriously died within a few days after it was born. And there was never any explanation behind that. The oddest thing, I guess, about this is that his former protege, Vanity, just died this year at the same age, 57. He was 57 and she was 57. And they died within months of each other. Where am I going with all this? Well, there were things that over the years, Prince, as many of you know, and those of you who don't know, he was on Warner Brothers Records. And as I had told you in my book, Satan's Children, Warner Brothers has a long Illuminati satanic cult-like history. The Warner Brothers lot in Los Angeles, a lot of the new actors were made to run around naked for the amusement of the old farts who run the studios there. And this lot has the audacity to have Bugs Bunny and all of these childlike characters blown up so that tourists can go by and think, oh, this is a fun place. But it's not a fun place behind the doors. When you get to the inner sanctum of the Warner lots, you can see that, those of you who've been invited and those who have knowledge of this, that there is a lot of stuff going on that is not right and is certainly not professional. So he had a long battle with Warner Brothers. He wound up losing his catalog. And the thing that really, beyond that, in the battle with Warner Brothers, there was this period where he had slave written on his cheek to emphasize what he felt like being under the Warner Brothers jurisdiction, where they held his catalog and they actually claimed ownership to it. And he began acting out in dismay regarding this. Now, the odd thing about it was that on April 18th of 2014, he re-entered, after leaving Warner Brothers, well, let me back up a little bit. He left Warner Brothers during the slave period, and he became independent, and he was doing everything through the net. However, on April 18th of 2014, he went into an unprecedented agreement with Warner Brothers, and here you see Sheila E., who was one of his proteges as well. She was on stage with him. However, he resumed this contract with Warner Brothers, and he was able to get back the rights to his catalog. Now here we have, in this time span, it's now April 21st, so they were off a couple of days, but you know, the elite like anniversaries. So here, almost 2 years to the day of him regaining his catalog, he's dead. And I believe that this was the intention, was to actually have it commemorate on the 18th. But because people might make the connection, they figured, well, you know what? It's in the same month. It's still good. And like Vanity, towards the end of his life, Prince had begun to get very spiritual. He joined the Jehovah's Witness, and he became an advocate of their cause, and he was praising Jehovah and going about. But my experience with the Jehovah's Witness is that they're pretty cult-like, because I had 2 sisters who were in it, and they actually didn't speak to me because they said that Jehovah said they couldn't be unevenly yoked. So, and this was because I was in the music entertainment business, so I don't understand that at all. But I'm going to show you some clips of some things that Prince had exposed regarding the elite. And then I'm going to just leave it to you to make your own assessment.
New Nation Radio, hashtag exposure. Okay, so what you just heard was evidence of him speaking about the chemtrail, speaking about being a slave upon the Warner Brothers. He had made it to the elite status by his Purple Rain album. He shot him to the top. So my question would be, why did he even go back? Why did he sign the contract 2 years ago? You know what I'm saying? What was the big thing? So basically, from my understanding, he signed the contract. They got insurance on him. They got all the rights back to him as a person. Then they killed him, and now they can reap the benefits. What I would like to say is that in this industry, the artists that are locked in by these contracts also have a secret oath of silence. And at some point, the artists that we've seen, the Whitney Houstons, the Michael Jacksons, everybody who spoke, they are not dead and deceased. And unfortunately, they also got sacrifices. So people like Aaliyah and just like Left Eye, Pimp C, people like that being sacrificed so that their counterparts can excel in the music industry or in the entertainment industry, period. That's the actual fact. And it goes on. So don't take it from me. Do your own research. Make sure you dig as deep as you can. Tune in next week, next Sunday. It's going down. New Nation Radio. Hashtag exposure.
Leaving all the competition in the dust.